Go to DaveRamsey.com and click Endorse Local Provider. That's DaveRamsey.com and click Endorse Local Provider. Just 60 days. That's all it takes to start transforming your business. Thanks to Constant Contact. Their simple step-by-step checklist will help you transform your small business with email marketing and social media. That's right. In just 60 days, you can better connect with your customers, generate referrals, and build the business you've always wanted. Go to ConstantContact.com/transform and start your 60-day transformation today. Geico has some bad news. There is no money tree, and there is no gold at the end of the rainbow. However, Geico could save you hundreds on your car insurance. No matter what the competition says, Geico has been saving people so much money. Over 4 million drivers switched last year. So call Geico for a free rate quote today. It's easier than trying to shake down a leprechaun. For a free rate quote, visit Geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. 15 minutes could save you hundreds on car insurance. A very wealthy U.S. citizen is predicting that in 2011, we will witness the most important day in America in more than 50 years. He says it will change everything about our lives. The way you shop, travel, invest, educate your children, and even how you take care of your health and your own family. Now, this man has made some outrageous predictions over the years. The crazy part is, he's usually right. You see, he predicted the collapse of GM, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and America's biggest mall owner, General Growth Properties. In fact, Barron's called his work a dire prophecy. Recently, he created a video, which you can watch online for free, detailing his biggest and most important prediction yet, and it's a real eye-opener. I can't stress this enough. You should at least watch this free video online today. He explains everything you need to know, including simple steps you can take to protect yourself. You can find the video at www.endofamerica28.com. That's endofamerica, the number 28.com. Watch the free video at www.endofamerica28.com. That's endofamerica28.com.
Good morning, and it's 6:47, moments away. I've got things you need to hear about where gasoline prices may be headed, and of course that is tied so heavily into the instability in the Middle East, and no place is more unstable right now than Libya. Longtime strongman Muammar Gaddafi clinging to power, threatening to die as a martyr, slaughtering his own people, and watching it all from Israel. And joining us live from Jerusalem, Fox News, Courtney Keeley. Welcome to Bud Hedinger Live, Courtney. Thanks for coming on the line.
Hi, thank you.
What can you tell us?
Well, it's intensifying. You saw Muammar Gaddafi go on television yesterday, state television, basically saying he will fight to every last drop of blood. Now, he reportedly has mercenaries that are paid a couple of $1,000s to shoot to kill, as well as about 5,000 soldiers left defending him. In the eastern part of the country, reports are trickling out by a couple of brave colleagues who have gone through there that protesters and defecting army officers have joined forces and are patrolling the areas there in mini militias. The Italian foreign minister says that the death of at least 1,000 people, those reports are credible, and the deputy ambassador to the UN, a Libyan man by the name of Ibrahim Dabashi, fears there will be a real genocide because everyone knows that Muammar Gaddafi is capable of continuing to kill his own people.
Any indication of what President Obama proposes to do? We haven't heard a single word from him on Libya, and I'm sure the Israelis are very nervous about the fact that the president remains silent.
Well, I wouldn't say the Israelis are nervous about that. Everybody's just nervous about what Gaddafi could actually do to his own people, because right now we don't have any leverage with Gaddafi. Gaddafi has been a foe of the U.S. President Ronald Reagan called him a mad dog. He was responsible for the Lockerbie bombing of Pan Am Flight 103 over Lockerbie, Scotland. He finally said he would stop seeking weapons of mass destruction, and diplomatic relations were restored in 2006. But since then, we have no ambassador presently in Libya. We've only given $1 million in aid. We have no relationship with their military. We have no leverage whatsoever, and President Obama does not have a relationship with Colonel Gaddafi. Who does is Silvio Berlusconi. But very few people.
The Italian Prime Minister, who's embroiled in scandal here. Now, what might Berlusconi be able to accomplish that others might not?
It's very unclear right now because you're hearing urges for EU sanctions put on Gaddafi. And, this is a man that defied sanctions for decades. He's got all of his own oil wealth. He's been in power for 41 years. He can pretty much do whatever he wants. The only pressure that can be put on him is by his own people, and we're watching what's happening in the East very closely to see if they gain any more ground and they're able to somehow oust him, because a lot of people in his government are defecting left and right. Two Air Force pilots flew to Malta and defected. Army officers are calling on soldiers to defect.
His own Interior Minister left, and then apparently Gaddafi rounded him up and threw him in jail. Before you go, Courtney, what we're hearing here, and tell me if you can confirm this, is one reason perhaps for President Obama's silence on this is he's afraid that if they go directly at Gaddafi, criticizing him directly, and we've criticized the policy of all the violence, but not Gaddafi directly, they're worried he'll fly into a rage and take what Americans we have there and create another Iranian hostage fiasco, which did in the Carter administration.
And it's very hard right now trying to get those Americans out, because in the second city of Benghazi, the runways have been destroyed, so people are fleeing across the border into Egypt. Thousands are stranded at the airport in Tripoli, and the U.S. State Department today has organized a water evacuation by ferry to Malta, where U.S. citizens are being ferried to Malta across the Mediterranean Sea.
Appreciate you so much, Fox News. Courtney Keeley from Israel, live from Jerusalem on Bud Hedinger Live this morning. Thank you so much, and we'll look forward to further updates as this continues to unfold.
Bye-bye.
Appreciate it. 6:52. The impact on your price at the pump coming up on BHL in 60 seconds. 6:52. Checking real-time traffic and weather together on the twos. All right, Courtney, thank you. Fog burning off, sunshine today, 78. We're looking at 61 degrees here in Orlando now. So we haven't heard from President Obama. The one justification might be exactly what I said, and I'm not alone in speculating that there is serious concern in the White House for the 600 Americans who are still in Libya, okay? Diplomatic personnel and just also private citizens, people doing business there or whatever. That if they get too tough directly on Gaddafi, because he's such a loose cannon, we could wind up with a Libyan version of the Iranian hostage situation. And one thing this Democrat president doesn't want is to go the route of Jimmy Carter, who was rendered completely helpless, and it destroyed him politically for how weak he was and appeared to be. And I think this is one reason for the silence from Obama. But he's the president of the United States and the commander-in-chief. He can't stay silent forever. And if we get into genocide over there, he's got to do something. And correct me if I'm wrong, does all of this and the impact on oil prices, which spiked 8.5% yesterday, we now have at the pump, now we have the highest February price since they started keeping such records in 1990. All right? We're up to about $3.19 a gallon nationally right now on the average. And there's so much oil futures upward pressure on prices that they now believe that you're going to be looking in a week or so at another 20 to 25 cent jump here Doesn't this beg for President Obama to say, this is an emergency? I'm lifting the oil embargo on drilling in the eastern Gulf and off the coast of Florida and in Anwar and everywhere else. You know, forget shutting down fossil fuel and destroying the oil industry, which is my goal. I am going to suck it up and do what's right, and we are going to go full bore now and for the foreseeable future at all energy sources. Drill, baby, drill. Doesn't it scream for that? 407-916-5400. Let's talk about how this will impact you and me. If, as many experts believe, we will see $4 a gallon gasoline at some point in the next year, and maybe $5 a gallon gasoline in a worst-case scenario in the Middle East after that. What happens in a scenario like that? You know how tough it was when we got to $4 a gallon gas in the summer of '08. That really began, that was it. That was the line of demarcation that really began to change Americans' habits. And they stopped buying other stuff so they could afford to keep on driving. If you have a car that gets 20 miles per gallon and you are an average driver doing 15,000 miles a year, now listen to me here, okay? You're driving 300 miles a week. If you get 20 miles to the gallon, you need 15 gallons of gasoline to get your driving done, okay? At $3 a gallon gasoline, you're spending $45 a week at the pump, $180 a month, $2,340 a year. $4 takes you to $60 a week, $240 a month, $3,120 a year. And if we get, God forbid, to $5 gallon gasoline, we will spiral into a depression, I believe, in this country, particularly with how fragile things are now. If we were to get off the instability in the Middle East to $5 a gallon in gasoline, and don't think it could happen. I'm not predicting it, but I'm saying what the experts are saying because I believe they're absolutely right. There is the potential for this, and it would be catastrophic, because if you're paying $45 a week now to fill up and drive, you'll be paying $75 every single week, $3,900 a year. That's $1,500 that disappear from your discretionary spending and has to go to fuel. If you have two cars in the family that each drive the average amount, husband and wife, each with their own car, their own routes, their own jobs, whatever else, you will be $3,120 short of where you are now per year with $5 a gallon gasoline. That's money you will not spend because you don't have at a restaurant. That is money you will not spend at the local home improvement store. That is money you will not spend at the local Walmart, wherever it happens to be. Nothing ripples through the economy more than spikes in oil and the resultant spikes in gasoline prices. And that's why you need to keep watching the Middle East. And that's why this president needs to wake up. We need to start hearing from him, and he needs to be all over this situation. You may say, well, there's nothing you can do in the Middle East. They're all crazy over there. We can't No, I'm not buying that. That may be true. And he may have to walk very, very carefully to avoid a hostage crisis in Libya, okay? Maybe that explains his silence. Nothing else justifies it. But he can take the lid off domestic oil drilling. He can give the order to go full bore on nuclear power. Yes, it takes years, but something's got to be done here. And this situation in the Middle East, who knows how long it's going to go and how bad it's going to get. It may never be again as stable as we have counted on it being. This president looks weak to our enemies. He looks weak to me. He needs to get on the stick and show some leadership. And now is the time. I mean, it's unconscionable that this president has such an image of weakness